Right, good,
You mean you
good.
didn't get the New Orleans connection on the recording?
Well, listen, good evening, everybody. It's this is our November P and Z meeting. It should be a short one, and I hope I don't regret saying that because it always sometimes doesn't come to fruition. But since we don't have any applications tonight, that should play out. Um, no, the reason we're getting together tonight was more about the where we stand now with membership, and then where we stand with the subcommittee. And I have some information from Natalie that's hot off the press. So thank you, Natalie, for sending me a response. So I'll talk to that about that in a second. So so where we ended up, it's we have Dick Kennedy is asked to leave the group, leave the committee 1 year prior to his tenure ending. Uh, and so I think we can respect that. And Dick's been on the committee for a number of years, and boy, I really appreciate his insight. And definitely the committee will miss him terribly, especially with his housing background. Um, and then, of course, I had announced before that I was going to step down after my term ended here at the end of the year, and I'm still planning on doing that. So there's two full-time members that are going to be the positions that would be vacant. And then Tim McGuckin, who was our associate member, uh, he really wants to stay on the committee, but he just honestly could not commit the time, and he has missed a number of meetings, and he regretfully just decided that um, he was going to have to step off the committee and no longer participate. So I'm getting a message from Dick Kennedy. He's trying to get on. Let me see if I can help him. Wow, I'm not sure where that message came from. So basically, we have then two full-time positions that are vacant and then one associate, at least from where we stood this year. And uh, I just threw out the recommendation that I would think that the committee might want to just fill those three positions and move on. But I think that's what we're here to talk about tonight. Because last year, or the last time we went through a nomination period, you may recall, we kind of left it to the subcommittee, and then there was a lot of confusion about how many members we were adding, and it just I think it was unfair for everybody that we just didn't make that decision before the subcommittee met, so that they didn't really always know how many members that they were looking to bring on. And so I thought we might want to try to make that decision before the subcommittee gets together. And so while you're thinking about that, so the volunteers that got back to me on the subcommittee, it was John Capilla, Tammy, William Pegues, and David Vanell were the four people that had responded favorably. And John was the first one, so I called him right away and said, "Would you mind chairing the subcommittee just to get it started?" And he graciously accepted that. So uh, John is not able to attend tonight unless he can hone in by phone, but he warned me of that ahead of time. Uh, as did Jared Zern. He said he had a prior commitment. He wasn't going to be able to attend. Um,
And Rob, I updated the website so that John's name is listed as the chair. So if anyone's interested in submitting an application, it'll go to him.
okay. So, here's normally the process. So normally the process, we decide, okay, how many members we're looking for. We advertise that there are positions open. We give that a period of time. We accept the applications. There is a form now on our website uh, that can be filled out, and usually we try to get the announcement certainly to the supervisor's office and maybe get it on their kind of newsletter. I think we're supposed to post it in the library. If you go back to our bylaws, I think they actually say something about posting, as those bylaws were done a long time ago. So this is back when we did paper and pinups and stuff like that. But but that could be done too. But the idea is to try to get the word out to as many people as we possibly can within the Reston community and get that interest. Now, the subcommittee is also to be made up of other people in the community, which we kind of agreed upon this many years ago to try to welcome a member from Reston Association, Reston Citizen Association, and the Reston Chamber of Commerce were the organizations that we just agreed to try to bring some other input to the subcommittee, to the nominating committee. And that's if those organizations wish to participate. I think in the past they have always participated or had a member, and so I mean, I think if you really go by the letter of the law, I think we're supposed to we should have really started this process probably in October, because it kind of takes a while to get the advertisements out. It takes a while to get them back. And then for the subcommittee to have a fair enough time to really vet the candidates, talk to them, make a recommendation, bring that recommendation to before this committee to make a kind of a final decision. I mean, theoretically, all that's supposed to happen before our January 2025 meeting. I think we could agree tonight if we thought that based on where we are tonight, that might be too short of a time frame. Maybe we could agree that maybe that could be extended just a little bit and give everybody just a little bit more breathing room and the public more time to react to an announcement. Might be fair. The other reason I bring that up is Natalie informed me tonight that Reston Association, in order for them to submit their representative to the subcommittee, I guess they've decided that it has to go through their board, that they've got it. The board has to be the one to decide who they bring to the subcommittee. And according to Natalie, we're supposed to make some type of formal request of the board to the board, and then they're supposed to then take it up. And that likely won't even, according to their schedule right now, that might not even happen until January. So this group has a decision to make whether we want to wait that long or move on and maybe they can participate at the end of the process or just maybe they have to skip this year. It's really up to us to decide. So yes,
So
Lynn.
I just wanted to add that the Reston Citizens Association is meeting tomorrow night. So I will bring this to the board, and I expect to have a designee to serve by the end of the week.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I had reached out to Natalie just knowing that she's been helping us here with a liaison position. I had not reached out to Reston Citizens, and then Mike Jennings, I think you were going to talk to the chamber.
Yep. I did. I communicated with Charles Kapoor, and he's getting he's working on getting me a name. He'll have one by the time the committee starts meeting. And I
Okay.
just looked at the bylaws, Rick, and they're silent on timing or everything. It doesn't say we have to do something by a certain date. It makes sense to do it before a term year starts, but it's not. It's not like we enact a Congress to do it later than that.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for looking at that. I know in the past there's been sometimes this is stretched out a little bit and we try to get it to that first meeting, but so lots to think about here tonight. I think maybe it starts with how many members that we believe we should be seeking, and knowing that it's always going to depend on the number of applicants that come in and if they're qualified. And so it might be a wish to number, but we might have to then, it's always going to be dependent on the applications that we get, knowing that maybe there wouldn't be enough to fulfill the positions, but at least it would be a starting point.
Rob, this is Dave. Seems to me with the 13 members, perhaps what we ought to do is seek 2 full-time members and maybe 1 I think we can seek up to 3, but let's try 1 associate. I suppose if we get a whole bunch of applications, we can expand that, but it seems to me that 15 is the magic number, at least now.
Yeah, so Dave, that's what I had recommended is to fill the full-time positions and then have 1 associate. And so it sounds like you and I are in agreement on that. But so Tammy, your thought?
Yes, I, in theory, would agree with that. We had an unfortunate incident a couple years ago where a fellow came on, Mike is familiar with this, to be our scribe. And he was the deciding vote on a very questionable application that he knew nothing about. And it was like, why did you vote on something when you had no knowledge? You had not come to any of the meetings where that particular application had been discussed. And he flipped us over into an approval of something that possibly shouldn't have been approved. And not a bad project, just a project in the wrong spot. So for that reason only, I would love to have 3 people, but have them as associates with 2 able to vote. And maybe that doesn't make any sense, but let's be sure that people have lived in Reston long enough and have some knowledge of land use. And I know that we're trying to get a younger demographic, totally in favor of that as well. But this person was not young, but he felt he could vote, and it was a sad decision. So I just wanted to bring that up as past history. A lot of you weren't on the committee when that happened. Do you have any comment on that, Mike?
I'm actually not remembering this instance, not saying, I just,
Kensington Moran. You were very upset at the time when he voted and didn't know anything about it.
oh, John Moran?
Yeah.
Uh,
You said, why did you vote for that? You didn't know anything about it. So,
yeah, it
You know,
probably
honestly,
did.
I think that the purpose of the subcommittee is to kind of vet our candidates. And if they're not qualified, then they shouldn't be recommended and nominated for a position. And I think once you have a position, then that's where we are. We are.
okay.
the-
So I
and-
can accept that, Rob. What, then we need to get busy with, putting out the feelers for candidates.
Yes.
And we do have the form. I was able to find it in my records and got it to Lynn, and she was able to, what do you call that? Make it pristine and put it on the web. Lynn, is that what you did? What's the
Yep,
terminology?
Format it and get it up on the web. Yeah, get it into a linked Google Drive and then link it from the website. But thank you, Tammy. That was great.
Yeah, I
Appreciate
appreciate because I was looking for it and I couldn't find my copy of it.
Well, I have paper copies of a lot of stuff. So,
Rob,
Okay.
this is Dave. This is Dave
Yep.
again. If I can weigh in on the makeup of the committee, if we've got Chamber and we've got Reston Citizens Association already semi-committed, I'm not sure that. First of all, I think we should probably give ourselves until February to report back to the committee and make the announcement formally. But I guess if Reston Association can catch up, I'm not quite sure why they think they have to. I can't speak to them. I don't know why they have to make it such a process. So if they can figure out who they want to send, have them do that. But in the meantime, I think we should get started with what we've got.
All right, so there's several people putting information in the chat about the number of associates. Maybe I guess I should maybe make a motion that my motion would be that we are seeking to fill the 2 full-time position members and add 1 associate, much like what we just had. And that's what we would be looking for the subcommittee to try to fill if there's, sufficient applicants.
And we
I'll
have,
second that.
and we have 13 full-time members now, correct?
Well, we have 15 now,
No, but
but
I mean,
we
when
will
you
end up
and
with
Dick,
13.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
So it
why
would
we're
bring us back to full strength plus 1 associate.
correct.
That's
I
perfect.
seconded your motion, Rob.
All right. Any other comments? All right. Is there anybody not in favor of that motion? Maybe I'll start that. Just make it easier.
No.
Economy
Okay.
of words.
Okay. So now that we got that, and I think that's the right move.
So by unanimous consent, that motion carries.
Yes. So then David brought up the idea of giving us a little bit of ample time to do the proper advertisement, the proper vetting, the committee, and then maybe having that decisions and all brought to the February committee, the meeting, the committee in February, the February's meeting. I do think that's a pretty good decision, only because of, you just look at it, it's almost the end of November here already. And that'll give, I think, some good time to get that accomplished. No matter what happens with Reston Association, but then we can talk about that in a second. But I think that's a good recommendation. I don't know if we need a motion for that or if we just.
Can I ask a question? When you say bring it to the February, do you mean the vote on the people that have been put forward by the nominating committee?
Yeah, I mean, generally the way it's
Yes.
done in the past, the
Correct.
nominating committee makes a recommendation to the P and Z whole committee
Correct.
as to what their recommendations are, and then usually the committee looks it over and then usually, I don't say rubber stamps it, but usually
No.
that's the purpose of the subcommittee, is to bring all that, vet all that, so the full committee
Right.
doesn't have to. And last time, I think what happened was, because we had this uncertainty over the number of members, it just got back to where we were unraveling applicants in the subcommittee's decision, and that's what we're trying to avoid this time.
I think that sounds very logical, Rob. We have December and January, and then 3 weeks in February before we have that meeting for the committee to vet people, etc. And Mike Jennings was very helpful last time in doing some security checks. I know I was very hot on somebody who had great credentials and ended up being a sex offender. So I appreciate there's a lot of fun on PNC.
Yikes. So Bill, if you're speaking, I think you're muted, so just so you know. All right. Bill Penniman, did you have anything to say?
No, it was a rude remark related to the cabinet. A qualified person, clearly.
Oh, no, he
A
didn't.
sex
apply.
offender, that is.
Oh, we're famous, but not that famous. And we're working on not being that famous. Thank you. But anyway.
Okay, so if we kind of agree that this can kind of be the subcommittee is being tasked with pulling this together and bringing that recommendation to the February P and Z committee, I think then that's what their task will be. If I remember correctly, we hadn't looked at a calendar for next year yet, but February always falls, our meeting always seems to fall over a holiday. It'd be nice to maybe push that date even the last Monday of the month to even give a little bit more time. That might be but that's what the next year's chair can figure out, but,
Yeah, there are 4 Mondays in February
okay.
of 25.
Maybe this decision would be for the committee when we meet,
Yeah.
but it seems to me that if we could get the advertisements and the notifications out, we should probably ask for an early January reply. So that, because people are busy with the holidays and all that stuff. So maybe
Right.
we give enough people time to think about it and time to submit, say by I don't know, the 5th of January or something like that. And then we can go from there.
Yeah, how about the 10th, Dave? Because the 5th is a Sunday, the 3rd is a Friday. People are still recovering from New Year's, so the
Yeah,
10th would be that
the
next
end of that
Friday.
first week would be fine.
Yeah, yeah,
First full week.
correct. Perfect, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Okay, so I think what are any other decisions we need to make here tonight? I think that then the subcommittee will be able to figure out themselves how they're going to meet and formulate and figure out how to get the advertisements out, and then the other groups can be back. I don't mind trying to make the request to RA to at least get that ball rolling, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll say we can't make any promises, but we'll, depending on your all schedule, we'll welcome your input if you can provide it in a timely manner. But if not, we'll have to.
That should be able to go in as new business, and they're having a lot of meetings because of the budget, so I don't see why that should be an issue. If they don't want to be involved, they don't want to be involved, and that's fine too.
Yeah, early word was their board plate was pretty full, so they were.
Yeah, but this is not something that requires a huge amount of conversation. They've done this every year since, I don't know, Reston was formed, so.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember what happened last time, Tammy, though, but
Yeah, I'm well aware.
okay. So we won't drag into that, but all right, that is all the business that I had tonight. Anything else that anybody else has in store for us tonight? Yes, Lynn.
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do.
And back at you and everyone else. Rob, did you want to say anything about the Soapstone and Wheelie transportation meetings? I know you were at least one of them. I was at both.
Yeah. First of all, I will say that there may not be a December meeting because right now there's no applications before us, nothing on the horizon that I'm aware of. So there might not need to be, and maybe that's when the subcommittee can, take that time and do their magic. But as Tammy said, there were some community meetings based on the Soapstone connector, kind of giving an update. I attended the one that was up at South Lakes, and I guess number one, I was really surprised at the cost and how it's ballooned in terms of the amount of money that's being estimated for the project itself. And if you look at it carefully, the cost was a lot more of the not so much the road itself, it was the maybe the condemnation, if you would, of the land that is really what's driving the cost. It was well over $200 million. I forget the exact figure, but it was a staggering amount of money. And then there was some debate about they're doing an interim section of roadway that's going to then grow to an ultimate section, but like the outside parts stay the same. But so by now comments were due on that design by November 1st, and then they're going to try to go to the next step on their whatever preliminary designs and so yeah, it was quite an informative meeting, but there was some debate about, are they doing the right thing with the on-road bike lanes versus the the multimodal type of multi-use trail. And there was no connection to the W&D trail, which I thought was a huge mistake not to figure that out and have some final connection to such a critical throughway. But in some cases they're looking at just what was before them and not necessarily looking at maybe the broader picture of what serves the whole community. But yeah, so it was a surprise to see how much the cost had ballooned up.
That the stunning thing about that particular meeting to me was the number of people who attended and the number of citizen remarks. And that was really unusual for this kind of a thing. And there was a lot of consternation. Everything Rob said, I would absolutely agree with. But so anyway, that cost is nuts. And then the wheelie
Hey, Rob,
thing. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Tammy, with you done on that topic. I have another question. Different.
Sure.
Rob, when or do you have any idea what the process is to elect officers, especially since you're leaving as chair? Do we do that before we get new members? Or, I mean, I've assumed new members wouldn't be like essentially candidates for these positions, but just thought I'd throw that out there. We hadn't talked about that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, usually we do that at the January meeting for the turn of the year and establish new members. And so I assumed you all would do that at your first January meeting. And then if the new committee members aren't brought in till February, I mean, I think so be that. But I mean, you all can decide what you want to do.
Okay.
All right. Anything else for the common good?
Just one question, Rob. Are you going to bring back a case of beignets for all of us?
Best question of the night.
And you can't transport those things. They they're a make it and eat it.
I know.
William,
while warm.
Shame on you.
Like manna, you must eat it in the desert.
I never really understood how good the food was in New Orleans until I actually went to New Orleans and ate food there. And now I get it. I understand what people talk about. So I look forward
Why
to
go down and bring spices back up here?
Enjoy,
So I can cook.
Rob, and then everybody enjoy Thanksgiving.
Enjoy.
All right. Well, listen, I think that's it for tonight.
Mark, did
Looks
you
like
have
Mark's got
something?
his hand up.
Hey, yeah, Rob, just one question. Will well, I guess rather when you put the advertisement together for new members, just let me know. I don't know if I could reach out to John for that, and I'll make sure it gets into the supervisor's newsletter.
Thank
Okay.
you. That's
Okay.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Mark, once again, thank you for all the help you give this committee throughout the year. It's really appreciated. Your communication is just terrific. It's just you're on top of it. For those of you who don't know, Mark always like pings me a little bit sometimes. Hey, you got that agenda ready for this next meeting? I'm like, oh, I have a draft, but I don't have it quite ready yet. But it's always a good reminder, and it's always helpful to have that reminder. So I always appreciate that.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
All right. I think we're adjourned.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
All right. See you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you next month.